the authorities have served notice to the college to close down.
The fire is just 200 meters away and it is fast approaching our college.
1 kilometer from the college is Jharia station. Six years ago, this railway station used to be the transport lifeline for Jharia. Now it's abandoned. Tracks have been removed to prevent the spread of fire. Half a kilometer from Jharia station, this gas station was closed by the authorities. However, the owner used loopholes in the legal system to return to business. There are 4 similar gas stations under threat around Jharia. The fire continues to claim more victims. A few months ago, newly married Meena stepped out to buy milk. The ground was slippery from rain. She slept and fell into a crevice where a fire was raging. It was all over in a matter of seconds. A similar accident in 1981 changed the fate of a small town in Pennsylvania forever. Todd Domboski grew up in Centralia.
Oh, it was excellent. It was really great. There were a lot of things to do as far as if you liked the outdoors. We used to spend a lot of time building tree houses, things like that. This is where the school was. There was a baseball field over there. We used to play a lot of Little League baseball. Everyone's lawn was manicured, little gardens, people planted little gardens, and it was like something you see on TV. I mean, almost like it was staged. It was that nice. If you were walking by, you know, these folks would come out and offer you cookies they had just made or soda. Page on the right is where my grandmother lived. I remember every day after school, coming over here, walking up in the Graham's yard. This is where it was, Paige, on Valentine's Day, 1980, where Dad fell into the subsidence. Let's go have a look. Give me your hand. Just up on the seatbelt. There you go. This is it. This was
12-year-old Todd was playing with his cousin at this very spot.
No, I saw little wisps of smoke coming out of the ground. And I went over to just make sure that there was not a fire. You know, I kind of knew it was the mine fire. But what happened was, as I bent down to look and see, and my foot sank, and my other foot sank, and the earth just gave way. Not like in the movies where, but slowly, like to the point where, wow, I better get a hand here, or I get a foot here, move, and it was like just crumbling around me. You know, this whole thing lasted only a couple seconds, 30, 40 seconds. Another couple of minutes, a minute, and I probably would have been consumed and passed out and died from the gas. I can't answer that, Paige. Was it hard to breathe? I was screaming. I was screaming my lungs out for Eric to come help me. My cousin actually had to lay on the ground and reach in to assist me. So my whole world changed. You know, I didn't feel safe at all here, and what happened was that sent the message to most of the people my parents' age that had small children. seriously wanted to see what their options were about leaving.
Before that, for 20-some years, firefighters tried extinguishing Centralia's blaze 8 times, but every effort was in vain. The fire continued to burn. The public was desperate. As a last resort, experts suggested building a trench between the fire and the town. It would have to be more than 1 kilometer long and as deep as a 45-story building. The cost, $660 million. Even then, there was no guarantee that Centralia could be saved. The government chose to relocate Centralia's residents. After compensating them for their properties, the state took title to the land. Around 600 buildings of the town were pulled down. Centralia was left to burn itself out. Todd left Centralia forever. Only a handful of residents decided to stay on. Most of them were old and not keen to start a life all over again. John's parents decided to stay. At that time, John was 10, the youngest resident of Centralia.
My friends left, family members left, neighbors, and I slowly watched as you know, people moved away, buildings were dismantled and demolished, businesses closed. Slowly, bit by bit, piece by piece, everything I knew and was used to and familiar with was slowly taken away.
Centralia has only 10 people left, including Lokitis. The town doesn't even have a postcode today, but John still refuses to accept the death of his hometown. Somewhere deep down, the people of Jharia are aware that one day the fire will find its way to them. But for now, they just don't want to believe. They've lived here for generations. Their dreams and memories are enough to make them want to stay. They also don't believe the mining company's verbal promise of new homes and jobs.
We live here because we are employed here. Authorities will not keep their promise.
If they don't allot us a house, where will we live?
If we go from here, we would be forced to lead the life of street dogs.
Time for Jharia is running out. Recently, these houses caved in the middle of the night. Ten people, including 6 children, were buried alive while they slept. How much time does Jharia have before it becomes another Centralia? 5 years? 10 years? No one knows. In East India, coal mine fires are consuming everything that comes in their way. Today, Jharia town is trapped by underground fires, threatening the existence of more than 500,000 people. Coal is transported by train. For the people of Jharia, the railway is their lifeline, but they have already lost one of their railway lines to mine fire, including a major station. Now, the underground disaster is approaching this one. Firefighters want to save the rest of Jharia's tracks, no matter what it takes. All fires require three things to burn: air, fuel, and enough heat to generate a spark. Firefighters call this a fire triangle. To fight any fire, this triangle needs to be broken. To save this railway track, firefighters will break the fire triangle by removing coal from the root of the fire. They are cutting a 270-meter long, 30-meter deep trench separating the fire from the railway track. This process is called trenching. Remote sensing expert Raju measures the underground temperature on the fire-affected side of the trench. He uses a thermometer connected to a fireproof cable. He drops it down a borehole that goes straight into the burning coal mines. His results will show if the trenching has worked. To his relief, the underground temperature is just above 40 degrees centigrade. The fire is still there, but it burns with much less intensity. But one borehole can't prove anything conclusively. Firefighters are digging more boreholes across the mine area to keep tabs on the fire. A low temperature signals the end of a fire. Geophysicist Singh and his team are on the other side of the trench. Their measurements do not find any trace of fire. The railway track running along the trench is safe for now. But that's not always the case. Sometimes, fire may cross the trench even before it's completed. Then there's no option but to remove the tracks. Firefighters are now digging the burning coal out from under the uprooted tracks. It's not easy because there are mines underneath full of smoldering coal. One false step and both man and machine could vanish. The coal is cooled with a mixture of water and coolant. This process not only douses the fire, it also saves coal from burning out. This coal can be washed and reused as fuel. Jharia has already lost 37 million tons of coal to its fires. Locating and tracking these fires remains a major challenge for the firefighters of Jharia. There may be abandoned mines beneath these houses, but the firefighters have no records because until 1971, mining in Jharia was in private hands and companies didn't maintain proper mining records. The village is surrounded by huge cracks and crevices like these, where the land has already caved in. The mapping team needs to establish how much land has already subsided.
ये है 1.2 मीटर। क्रैक विड्थ 1 मीटर से ज़्यादा है और अंडरग्राउंड में क्या हो रहा है ये कोई रिकॉर्ड नहीं है।
These cracks are more than 1 meter wide. There are no records of mining activities here. We have no idea what's going on underneath.
To prevent further collapse, firefighters use a method called sand stowing. A mixture of sand and water is flushed below. Once this settles underground, it creates support for the surface. This breaks the fire triangle by preventing oxygen from getting to the fire. Sand stowing is such a common sight in Jharia that people don't even notice anymore. Here, a couple is getting married. For them, a new journey is about to begin. But alongside, firefighters are flushing in sand and water to hopefully stall the journey of fires underground. The entire area is endangered by fire and subsidence, but residents have no option except to work and live here. But why would a young man like John Lokaitis choose to live in the shadows of a dying town? John's ancestors are buried in Centralia. Even John has reserved a place for himself in the cemetery.
This is my grandparents.